Hey guys, how's it going? This is Friday, June 24th, and this is Eggy's Roll-Up. So, of course, I know it's been, Tuesday was the last day I made the video. I know I've been neglectful, again, I completely understand that, but it's been a rough last few days, that's for sure. So, yesterday, it was my grandfather, who I just want to take the time to say was, one of the most incredible men that I've ever known in my whole life. He was truly an astonishing, amazing human being. Just everything that you could ever, everything, the whole package you could ever imagine. Just such a strong, admirable man, And he passed away a little over a month ago now. And so last night, I traveled back down towards my hometown for his memorial ceremony that was held, and it was very difficult. It's just so difficult for me because, of all the men, there's probably I don't know if there's any man that I've looked up to or that I looked up to in my life as much as him. Just there's nothing, there was nothing, no faults really. He was just such a strong, honorable man. Just really, makes me want to do better in my own life. Really really set the bar high to what a man should achieve. But one other thing, if you followed me for some time, you know that I never had met in my whole life met my father. I just ever since he had been gone ever since I was very, very small, very young, and so I had not met him. Had never in memory spoken with him. Obviously, as a baby, that's one thing, but I couldn't remember him at all. And he was there. He was at the service, the ceremony. He was there, and first time I'd ever seen him with my own two eyes since maybe I was an infant, just maybe months old at best, at the oldest, and I thought to myself, I had a lot of other relatives that I never met before, that side of the family, as much as I had grown up with them and, I loved them deeply. Most of that family I have a huge portion of family, that, on the side of my family, which, is, on my father's side is Native American. If you're not familiar with that, oops, I ran the wrong lane. If you're not familiar with that fact about me as well, I am, the side of my family has Native American roots. So, just meeting many, many relatives for the first time. I have, so many dozens of cousins that I might not ever meet, but just, some of them that just to see them and meet for the first time, that was something too. But I guess, I kept thinking to myself, all these years, that my father, if he had so chosen, even just within the last couple of years, he's had my contact information. He could have contacted me if he wanted to. I've never said a word to him in my whole life. I said, he can contact me if he wants to. He's got my information. Never has. He's, always made it a point to, really never get involved in my life. Okay. So I thought to myself, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the guy, the instigator of trying to speak with him when, obviously if he was keen on speaking with me, then he would have done so, when he's had my information and never did. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll see, first time ever meeting, or first time being in the same place in our whole lives. So we'll see, see if he approaches me, I won't turn him away, I'll see if he approaches me or what happens. And I was there for 1 hour, never spoke, never approached. I was there for 2 hours, never spoke, never approached each other. We were there for 3 hours, and then it was time for me to go home. So, and then the whole time I never spoke, and I didn't, I don't regret it, didn't regret it. At the time I said, well, if he's not approached me, I've not spoken with him, what's the, should I go out of my way, was he gonna, he's had my information, if he wanted to talk to me so bad, he could talk to me, and he never did while I was there. So I left without speaking a word to him, didn't even acknowledge him at all whatsoever. Just walked right back out after I talked about everybody else, and then I went on my way home. And so then I kind of thought about it, but I don't know, it kind of kept me up last night a little bit, because I'm thinking to myself, I mean, that might have been the only time. I know he lives on the West Coast. It could be the only time that I'll ever see him in my whole life. It could have been my only opportunity to ever say a word to him my whole life. But I mean, it's really been his choice up to this point. Any amount of time, any different number of times he could have contacted me. It didn't have to be the only time we had in our whole lives to speak to each other and meet each other. He could have came forward. Was he interested? Was he not interested? Was that really my business? It's hard to say. You know what I mean? It's been conflicting with me a little bit. I didn't sleep too good last night, so I'm thinking to myself, was it me? Did I throw away the only chance to ever speak? Well, but I don't think it's true, because he could have contacted me any number of times. He never did. He made it a point to never be part of my life and always stay very far away. Never made any contact. My cousins, my uncles, children. He gives them birthday presents every year. He has no qualms about being part of their childhoods, of them growing up. From what I understand, he speaks with them and visits them, and whatever he does. I've never got a phone call or birthday card. Maybe my first birthday, if that. So what should I do? What really lies on my shoulders? You know what I mean? Like, what really lies on my shoulders as far as it's all concerned? Is it really my responsibility to reach out? To taking the first step? I just don't think. It's hard. Like I said, I'm conflicted. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to say for sure, really, either way. If I never speak with him in my whole life, is it going to be, am I going to regret it? Maybe. But there's, at this point, it's like, it's just so, I've grown up just entirely, never even saw him. It'd be different if he'd been around until I was like, 10 or 11 or something. That'd be a different story. Sorry, so a little switch up there. I had to stop and now back out, so I'm filming again. But like I said, it's hard for me to say if what I did was right or wrong. You could look at it, it's a complex thing to look at, I guess. But I gotta say, I'm just loving this Brexit drama. I feel like the whole Brexit decision today could really be a big step in the right direction. You know what I mean? Really just. I'm just soaking up the massive amounts of leftist ass pain. I love it how apparently, everybody's saying that all the Leave voters were all like racist, sexist, homophobic bigots. But you see these kids, they're just so absolutely brainwashed out of their minds. They're in a school system, that is completely leftist from, it teaches them how to read and write and really shapes everything critical about their development as far as critical thinking, or lack thereof. Really just, all of these things, they're meant to be educated, but really it's more of a re-education or, brainwashing really, from the ground up. And so all these children who, and everything that are so deeply, especially in Britain, it's just so incredible that, to vote Leave, especially in that country, and you see, all these young people are like, they're so deeply steeped in such brainwashing, from birth throughout such crucial development period in their lives. And, they just can't believe that anyone would ever have a different opinion than them. They're so absorbed in this, reality that they've constructed around themselves, that everything should cater to this, their specific leftist ideals and opinions. It's just, it's phenomenal, but in a good way, for once. So I'm really excited about, what Leave could mean for Britain. Obviously, there's been downsides reported, of course, obviously financially based. The market's taking a turn for the worse, and maybe, making a, if not losing allegiance or an ally of the EU, perhaps the EU, forming a negative opinion of Britain and, you know, seeking some kind of retribution, I guess perhaps you could say, against Britain for doing this. But then, you know, I mean, a lot of things seem possible right now. You know, that might fall flat. You know, it could happen now. You know, it's hard. It would be hard to say that before, but I mean, you know, never know. More countries might get their balls up and out of the trap that the EU has kept them in, and they might start to realize, you know, that there's, you know, that they have a chance to be free states once again as well, to get out of this goddamn, you know, nightmare that they've been forced into. You know, the refugee quotas and all manners of terrible things have destroyed their countries and, you know, and their people. So I'm very excited about Brexit. I hope it leads to further referendums of a similar note, you know, for other countries. I'd love to see the EU just collapse. I'd love to see us go back to the way things should be. I think it's a step in the right direction. All right, well, that will be all for today, my friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and keep cool.